This is the original podcast edition of The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton, now part of the complete Pirates of Wefrevane series. The books are available as audiobooks, ebooks, and paperbacks. This podcast originally aired from 2010 to 2014. Stick around after the story for commentary from me, the author, more than a decade later. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers, a novel of pirates and Panamindorah. Written and narrated by Abigail Hilton. Book 3, Ashes. Warning: this novel was intended for people who shop in the grown-up section of the bookstore. It is not intended for children or young teens. If you need to ask whether you will be offended, you probably will. Episode 6.
Hi, I'm Tanya Milevich from the Lightning Bolt Theater of the Mind radio drama podcast that can be found at www.lightningbolttheaterofthemind.mypodcast.com. Theater is Theater, not R-E. We have anything from science fiction to horror to romance, action, all sorts of genres. Our radio dramas do tend to go towards the horror genre, however, so if you're a fan of that, check us out. We do also adapt some series. For instance, we've taken Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 8 comics, and we've made them into radio dramas. Of course, no profit ever will be obtained from it. It is a Creative Commons piece, so check us out. Again, the website is www.lightningbolttheaterofthemind.mypodcast.com. Theater, E-R, not R-E. Previously on the Cowry Catchers podcast. Over the next few days, Silvio drifts in and out of consciousness. He seems terrified of Dakar for reasons Gerard can't understand, and also terrified of the Griffin for more obvious reasons. Gerard can't resist an angry outburst which he bitterly regrets later when Silvio tries to drown himself during the night. Gerard assures Silvio that he will not feed him to the Griffin. Silvio seems to accept this, but his return to health is slow, hampered by nightmares and crippling depression. Felbane continues to hang around their camp, although he has obviously learned to hunt. One day, Gerard manages to coax a few words out of him, establishing that Felbane can indeed speak. However, he will not let anyone get close enough to remove the javelin head, which continues to cause him pain. Dakar comes and goes in the camp mysteriously. She is not as reliable as Gerard would like. One night, Gerard wakes to find Silvio sitting up in a blanket watching him. Gerard lets Silvio come sleep beside him, which seems to stop his nightmares.
Chapter 16. Desolate. The next few days were clear and cool, but not too cold. It had begun to rain off and on, and Gerard decided that they had better hike to the cabin Dakar had discovered. It would be better shelter than the half-cured pelts from Felbane's kills that they were currently using as fly sheets. They needed salt and a few other chemicals to cure the pelts properly, but all they had was smoke and seawater. They also needed material for a few more clothes.
We should look for someone to trade with,
Gerard said, but in the meantime the cabin seemed likely to solve at least their shelter problems. So, on the 6th day after reaching the sea, they put their supplies back into their packs and started north along the beach. Silvio was sitting on Gerard's shoulders, wedged between the pack and the back of Gerard's head. He seemed to like sitting there, as well as he liked anything. Gerard was humming a tune as they walked. He realized, after a few moments, that it was one of Thessaline's songs, a light-hearted ditty she'd composed back on Halivaris, when they were first getting to know each other. It reminded him of being young and falling in love, the early part, before the reality of what it would cost him set in. He told Silvio and Dakar about the song, and about some of the things Thessaline had used to do. Dakar was almost as quiet as Silvio, but that didn't bother Gerard today. They stopped around noon and sat on driftwood logs, eating fish they'd cooked the day before. Silvio seemed to have mostly overcome his fear of Dakar, although he never sat too near her if he could avoid it. Sometimes, though, Gerard caught Dakar sitting near Silvio, sometimes with her hand on his arm or knee, saying nothing. Gerard wasn't sure whether she was trying to offer comfort or whether something else was going on. Dakar finished eating before Gerard and Silvio. She never seemed to eat very much, and went down to the water to look for shells. Gerard glanced at Silvio. Finally he said, in a low voice,
Silvio, who is she? Why are you afraid of her?
Silvio looked instantly on edge. He picked up a stick to write, but hesitated. Finally, he wrote, "She doesn't want me to tell." Gerard squinted at the words. Beach sand was easier for writing than forest soil. Even so, Silvio selected his words carefully to keep his messages short. He wrote in a mixture of Grishnard characters, phonetic letters, and pictures, depending on which would be easiest to read and write in the sand.
She knew me as soon as she saw me. I was a half-dead galley slave at the time. She saved my life. Whoever she is, I won't hold it against her.
Silvio looked up at him with worried eyes. Then he wrote, "Ask her?" Gerard sighed.
All right. It's not fair to ask Silvio to tattle. Dakar is the one who can speak, after all.
The cabin turned out to be a seasonal hunting or fishing hut beside a stream. It was not large, but it seemed to Gerard like a mansion compared to his last personal space, the holding cell aboard the Mantis, and part of a bench before that. Gerard said as much, jokingly, but Silvio winced. The cabin contained no food or furniture, but it did have a fireplace, an axe, and a large fire pit outside. Gerard spent the next yellow month fishing, sewing a few extra shirts for them all, curing meat, and building up a supply of firewood. He took Silvio with him everywhere, carrying him when he could not walk. Silvio seemed to like nothing better than to curl up against Gerard's leg when he was mending or fishing and go to sleep. He would have slept nearly all the time if Gerard had let him, but Gerard didn't think that was healthy, so he talked to Silvio. He told him about the mill and the flood, about meeting Dakar on the Mantis, about the galley, about Rule, about Gwaine. He told him about Pater's revenge, about the fighting pit, about Felbane and Dakar, and their escape. He did not rush the story, and sometimes he went back to fill in pieces he'd forgotten. He kept hoping Silvio would participate, write questions or volunteer information about what had happened during Gerard's absence, even mock him or make jokes. But Silvio never did. He was increasingly mobile, and by the end of that yellow month, he was able to walk almost normally. He was still weak and utterly unlike himself. The slightest sign of anger or annoyance reduced him to a quivering study in submissive display. He never smiled. His fur and hair came back in. Gerard suspected it would be half a year before Silvio's tail regained its splendor, but his hair and lower body fur came in fast, soft, and triple thick. Gerard was in a position to notice, because Silvio slept curled against him every night. Gerard would have preferred to simply put Silvio's pallet beside his own, but Silvio clearly wanted physical contact. A word of complaint would have sent him crawling back to his own blankets, but Gerard didn't have the heart to do it. And he was warm.
White foxlings really must have come from cold places,
Gerard commented one evening.
I had no idea your fur was so thick. Do you get hot in summer?
Silvio thought for a moment. Winter coat, he wrote at last.
It gets thinner in the summer.
Silvio nodded.
If you were yourself, you'd make a joke about hats or mittens.
But Silvio did not joke anymore, and Gerard was afraid that if he said it, Silvio might think he was serious. Slowly and painfully, Silvio began working on a system to spell words with his hands. He invented a hand sign for each letter of the phonetic alphabet and taught them to Gerard. It was still a cumbersome way to communicate, but it had advantages over writing. Grishnard characters were complex and blurred easily, but they didn't take up much space. Phonetic characters were simpler and easier to read, but they required more space on a writing surface. Silvio became easily frustrated with all forms of nonverbal communication, and he would sometimes shut down in the middle of an attempted conversation. He was trying, though, and that gave Gerard hope. As he slept less, and as Gerard forced him to move, Silvio began to try to help around the campsite. Gerard caught him wading in the stream one morning, very early.
What are you doing?
Silvio waded over to a rock and wrote with his wet finger, trying to be good for something besides griffin food. Gerard started to reprimand him, but then saw the ghost of a smile on Silvio's face.
That's not despair. That's your morbid sense of humor.
He smiled back. Silvio turned out to be searching for large, shrimp-like creatures under the rocks. They made excellent bait. That was a good day. Silvio had a lot of bad days. He woke Gerard frequently with his twitching, whining, and growling. He had a tendency to crawl all over the place in his sleep. He was obviously embarrassed by this, and Gerard tried not to make an issue of it. Gerard trusted him enough now to leave him for short periods. Almost he gave him a knife. He'd seen Silvio eyeing them, and he knew that Silvio put a lot of stock in not being helpless. However, Gerard still wasn't sure that Silvio wouldn't use a knife on himself, so he kept the sharp things out of reach. Dakar wasn't much help. She seemed to wander off whenever Gerard hadn't asked her to do something specific. Often she would disappear before dawn and not return until late that night. She never seemed hungry, but she never seemed to lose weight. Occasionally, she would bring useful items back from her journeys: herbs, mushrooms, wild onions, and other vegetables. Once, she told Gerard she'd found a merchant caravan, and, somehow, she got them to give her a hairbrush, something they did not need for survival, but badly needed for civility. She also obtained some spices that improved the taste of their food.
What we could really use is several sacks of tanning chemicals and clothes or fabric to make them, but you can't carry all that yourself. I wish you'd invite me on these forays of yours.
The trouble was that someone had to continue preparing their camp for winter and look after Silvio, and Gerard didn't trust Dakar to do either of those things without wandering off. He didn't understand how she seemed to cover so much ground. He wondered whether she'd somehow tamed Felbane enough to ride him. The griffin was not around any more than Dakar. But whenever Gerard decided that he was gone for good, Felbane would show up again with a kill. He wasn't limping as badly, but he still whined sometimes. Silvio wanted to help Gerard around the camp, but he frequently attempted tasks that were beyond him. Gerard stopped him several times from trying to haul large chunks of wood, and Silvio wanted to go fishing with Gerard in the ocean, in spite of the fact that he couldn't swim. One day Gerard was chopping wood when he heard a terrible crash from the direction of the cabin. He came running and found Silvio standing in the middle of a chaos of firewood that had been piled against the side of the cabin. Gerard had told him earlier to stop trying to add to the pile. Silvio did not yet have the coordination or strength to stack it properly. The logs had rolled everywhere, including over a fishing net that Gerard had been making and a carefully arranged batch of drying fish roe. They'd also knocked down the clothesline and crashed over the clean laundry.
"Silvio!"
barked Gerard, too sharply. Silvio turned, and Gerard saw that he wasn't hurt. He stood trembling amid the chaos and twisted his hands together. Gerard walked over to him and crouched down. He raised a hand, and Silvio cringed, as though he expected to be hit. Gerard changed what he'd been going to say.
"Silvio, I would never hit you. I thought you might be hurt. I'm glad you're not."
Silvio didn't look reassured. He bowed his head. Gerard took both of Silvio's hands in his.
"This stuff isn't important, Silvio."
He bent his head, trying to catch Silvio's eyes.
"It's not important. Don't worry about it."
He tried to laugh.
You could have set fire to that pile of wood and I wouldn't have hit you. Please, don't be afraid of me.
Silvio extracted a hand from Gerard's. He looked for a clear space, but couldn't find one to write in. Gerard could feel his mounting frustration.
Just spell it.
So Silvio spelled with his hands, trying to help.
I know. Don't worry about it. You are so much more important than any of this.
Silvio looked down at his paws. He spelled useless.
You're not. And anyway, you don't have to be useful, not in the way you mean. I'm glad you're here. That's all. I missed you, Silvio.
Silvio wiped hard at his eyes with the heels of his hands. He started to spell something, got frustrated, and stopped. Gerard glanced around the campsite.
There's nothing here that can't wait for quarter watch. Come on.
Gerard started toward the beach. He wanted to pick Silvio up. It would have been faster, but Silvio needed to feel self-sufficient, now more than ever, so Gerard let him walk. When they reached the expanse of wet gray sand, Silvio found a stick and scribbled, "I know she killed Malpin." Gerard grimaced.
You need to give me something, and the only thing you can think of is to let me win that old argument. It doesn't matter now.
But Silvio was still writing. "I think I always knew. I just didn't want to believe it." Gerard crouched down and put an arm around him.
Silvio, will you listen to me for a moment?
Silvio squirmed away from him. He wrote, "You and Thess were the best things that ever happened to me, and I..." His hand shook. "I destroyed you." 2 tears splashed down onto the sand. Gerard took the stick away from him.
Silvio, look at me. You didn't. There was nothing you could have done to save Thess. That was all Morchella. If I'd taken your advice and left Wefravain, Thess would still be alive. You might not, but she would. You probably saved my life, although it didn't feel very good at the time. It's over. Let it go.
Silvio just dropped his gaze to the sand. Gerard sighed. It was beginning to rain. A cold, gray rain on a cold, gray beach.
Come on. Let's go back to the cabin.
Chapter 17. Another Name. The rains came, and the weather grew colder. Dakar turned up one day with 3 sealskin coats, waterproof and lined with tight wool. They were roughly the right size, and Gerard had no difficulty tailoring them to fit well. Dakar would not tell him where she'd gotten them, no matter how many times he asked. He decided that she must have stolen them, although from where he couldn't imagine. When the wind came from the north, it was icy cold, but occasionally it blew from the west, and on those days the rain was warm, and sometimes the sun peeked through the clouds. On one of these days of warm rain and scattered sun, Gerard decided he wanted to fish in the sea. Silvio wanted to come with him. Gerard had refused him several times before, but he was getting stronger. "Take me to the island?" he suggested in the sand. There was a small knot of rocks a short distance from the shore. Gerard could wade to it at low tide, and he'd swum there easily even at high tide. Mussels clung to the rocks, and crabs hid among the tide pools. The shellfish added welcome variety to their menu.
All right.
So he got his fishing gear, put Silvio on his shoulders, and started out to the island. Gerard never wore clothes for fishing in the sea, but Silvio sunburned, even on a cloudy day, so he was wearing a long-sleeved shirt and a shapeless hat that Gerard had made for him out of the poorly cured pelt of one of Felbane's kills. Gerard wished they had some lighter material. He didn't like the idea of Silvio falling into the water in thick cotton. Silvio climbed off his shoulders into the rocks and began looking for mussels and crabs. Gerard crawled up onto a rock that overhung the water and began to fish. He hummed under his breath, let his mind wander. After a while, he started talking to Silvio. He told him about a few of the things that he had used to enjoy doing with his brother, Jaleel.
When we were little, Father got this tutor for us that we abhorred. In retrospect, I suppose we were unkind, but it was one of the few times I can remember when we were both in absolute agreement. I remember he made Jaleel work once when he was ill. Jaleel got so angry that he filled a Pegasus bladder with red soup, took it to class under his shirt, and pretended to throw up all over the tutor's desk. And then I picked out some interesting bits and ate them. I think the tutor nearly fainted.
Gerard had expected some sort of reaction to this. It was the kind of prank that Silvio liked. When he heard nothing behind him, he turned and looked around. The rock island was empty. Gerard leapt to his feet.
Silvio!
Standing there on the highest rock gave him a full view of the little island. Gerard jumped down, still calling. He dropped his fishing gear in the middle of the island and did a rapid search of the few crevices that he could not see from his perch. Nothing. Gerard tried to control his panic as he waded around the edges of the island, staring into the water.
Could something have grabbed him?
Possibly, but Gerard doubted it. He didn't think Silvio had actually planned to kill himself this morning, but he might have jumped impulsively. There were days, even now, when Gerard had to coax him to eat.
Silvio!
He shouted again, and this time someone answered him. Gerard didn't catch the words, but he knew Dakar's voice. He looked towards the shore, and about halfway there he saw her. She had something in her arms. Gerard jumped into the water. He reached her just as she was wading up the beach. She had Silvio, and he was fighting. Gerard hadn't seen him put that much effort into something since he arrived. He was hissing like an angry cat and snarling.
What happened?
Panted Gerard. He tried to ignore the fact that Dakar was naked. Her waist-length black hair had come out of its tie and partially covered her.
He jumped in the water,
said Dakar, as though that weren't obvious.
Why?
Demanded Gerard, and couldn't help adding,
How did you get here? I never saw you this morning.
He didn't wait for an answer, but took Silvio from her, still hissing.
My clothes are there on the beach. You might get my coat.
Gerard's relief turned to anger. He hadn't felt this angry at Silvio since those moments beside the river when he'd shouted at him. They'd reached the beach, and Gerard set Silvio on his feet. He took Silvio by the shoulders and shook him.
Why did you do that? Why?
Silvio threw back his head and howled. A terrible, broken-hearted sound. It made Gerard's fur stand on end. He reached around for a stick, but didn't see one. Dakar handed Silvio a shell. She was holding Gerard's clothes.
Did you want these?
Gerard felt frustrated with everyone.
No, I want you to put something on. You're not wearing anything.
Neither are you.
You're a girl!
He took his shirt from her and pulled it over his head.
Dakar, just put on a coat.
All right.
Silvio was shaking with frustration and didn't really want to write, but finally he crouched and scribbled, I hate this. I can't stand it. Please let me go. Gerard's anger boiled again.
I wanted to die too. Back on Major, and you wouldn't let me.
Silvio gave a low moan and rocked back and forth over his writing. Gerard put a hand to his face. After a moment, he said,
I'm sorry. I'm not like you. I'm not good with words.
Oddly, that elicited the first laugh he'd heard from Silvio since his arrival. Gerard smiled.
It's true. What I just said sounds like I want to punish you, and that's not it. I just can't lose another friend. I can't. You told me once you're a survivor. Please try.
Silvio remained crouched over his writing. After a moment, he scribbled, I'm tired of surviving. He stood up and looked at Gerard, his pale blue eyes taking on some of the gray of the sand and sky. Gerard bowed his head. He wondered if he was being cruel. He wondered if he had any right to force Silvio to keep going when he didn't want to live in a body that made him feel trapped and frustrated.
It's not like he hasn't tried.
At that moment, Dakar stepped between them. She took Gerard's hand, and then she reached down and took Silvio's. Gerard saw him flinch, saw his breath quicken. Gerard looked at her quizzically.
Dakar, what are you...
A twitch behind his eyes. A feeling he recognized. Gerard was too startled and frightened to move. A moment of vertigo, and then...
Gerard.
He almost sat down right there on the beach.
Silvio.
Silvio jumped.
Gerard, you can hear me.
Gerard stared at him.
Yes.
It wasn't quite true. The voice, such as it was, carried none of the nuances of speech. It was a thought, a trickle of meaning in the back of his mind. Gerard turned slowly to Dakar.
What are you?
She has another name,
began Silvio, and then Dakar dropped both their hands, and Silvio's communication ceased instantly. Dakar retreated a pace. Gerard caught his breath.
No, please, Dakar, come back.
He didn't know what he thought or wanted, but he knew he'd seen hope flare in Silvio's eyes. Silvio ran to her and took her hand. They looked at each other intently, and now Gerard understood. His fur bristled.
They're talking. That's what's been going on. She can talk in his head. Like Morchella.
Finally, Dakar gave a little nod. Silvio wrote a word in the phonetic. Gerard looked at it. The word was Maven. Chapter 18. Bridge. Gerard felt cold. He remembered the deep dungeons. Morchella's voice.
I've got a new interrogator. Maven.
Gerard stared at Dakar. She didn't meet his eyes.
Do you want me to go away?
Gerard took a deep breath.
You saved my life. You jumped into a fighting pit to rescue me. You've slept beside my fire night after night. Whatever you are, you're not my enemy. I want your help, Dakar. Will you help us, please?
Dakar's eyes flicked to his face. She came forward slowly and put her hand on his arm.
Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you.
Gerard could feel her moving around inside his head, touching things, leafing through his memories. He wanted to scream, to pull away. Suddenly she didn't seem like a small, helpless girl. She felt like something hugely powerful and dangerous.
This is how she got things she wanted aboard the Mantis. How she drove Rule insane.
He remembered Silvio's voice from long ago.
I doubt that Zed even remembers how to feed herself.
He had no doubt that Dakar could take his mind to pieces if she wanted to. She reached for Silvio's hand, and Gerard caught the faint trickle of his thoughts.
I thought she was male that first time, because Morchella wanted us to think so and called her he. She never spoke, and she was wearing heavy robes, but Morchella had her question a bunch of prisoners last year. I got a better look at her and figured it out. She can do awful things, Gerard.
What did she do to you that first time?
Silvio jumped.
I didn't realize you could hear me.
Whatever she does, she's doing it again.
Dakar took her hands away, and Silvio's flicker of thought vanished. She crossed her arms and lashed her tail.
I can do better.
Oh?
Between Dakar's rifling through his memories and Silvio's sudden babble, Gerard felt dizzy.
Better.
Repeated Dakar.
Maybe.
She put her hand on his arm again, and Gerard could feel her probing. It almost hurt, like someone picking at a splinter. And what she picked out was... Fess.
No.
Gerard took a step back.
You can't. Can't have that. Don't touch!
I won't hurt you.
Repeated Dakar.
I won't take anything.
Please.
Gerard whispered as she took his hand again.
Please be careful.
Thessaline. Everything she was and had been to him. Somehow standing in his mind like a shining golden beacon. He heard Dakar's voice as though at a distance.
You both loved her. I could use that. I could make a bridge.
And then Gerard wobbled to his knees. The world was bending, and everything was on fire. When he opened his eyes, Dakar was crouching next to him with a worried expression.
Gerard, are you all right? I haven't done that before. I didn't think it would hurt, but I must have been wrong.
Just a little wrong. No worse than swallowing a razor blade.
Gerard nearly fell over. Silvio's voice was real. It was so real that if he hadn't known better, he would have thought Silvio was actually talking to him. He whirled around and saw that Silvio had clapped his hands over his mouth. His eyes were huge.
That must have surprised you, too.
Silvio dropped his hands.
You can hear me. Really hear me.
He clapped his hands over his mouth again.
I can hear me.
Gerard winced.
Yes, I can hear you. You're shouting in my head.
What? You want me to use my indoor voice?
Silvio was practically hopping up and down.
In my head, yes, please.
Gerard got to his feet. Silvio took his hand.
Let's go back to camp. You look like you need to sit down.
I feel a bit dazed. It will sink in momentarily.
Silvio made a face.
What's going to sink in is that you've got me stuck in your head, and then you're going to ask her to take it back.
Gerard stood up a little straighter.
Not true.
He turned to Dakar.
Thank you.
She smiled, a shy, almost childish smile.
I did good.
You did very good. Silvio doesn't want to die anymore.
Silvio was still talking.
That first time in Morcella's dungeons, I didn't understand what was happening. I mean, I knew the prisoners were going crazy, I just didn't know why. All she did was touch them. I asked Mistress, and she said, "Show him, Maven." And she put her hand on my head.
Silvio shuddered.
She rifled through my memories and dragged out all of the worst ones. And I have some bad memories. I know now that she wasn't trying to hurt me. She was kind of clumsy, actually, but she turned up all kinds of stuff I'd worked hard to forget. That's why I was such a mess that night. Are you all right, Gerard?
Gerard put a hand to his head.
Yes, could you stop talking for a moment?
Having Silvio chatter in his mind was more than a little odd. It felt almost as though he didn't have enough room for his own thoughts and Silvio's voice at the same time. Silvio became instantly quiet. He was still holding Gerard's hand, but he let go and moved away a little.
I'm sorry, Silvio. I'm really glad you can talk to me. It's just the way Dakar made her bridge. It's odd.
Whenever Silvio talked, Gerard thought of Thessaline. He didn't confuse the two of them. She was just there somehow. She was the bridge. Silvio nodded. He didn't say anything. Gerard sighed.
I didn't really mean don't talk. I meant give me a little space to think in between.
I will.
Silvio's voice was not as loud when they weren't actually touching. Gerard had an idea that the bridge Dakar had created would diminish rapidly with distance.
I'll try not to annoy you, Gerard. I'll try hard.
Gerard smiled.
If you didn't occasionally annoy me, you wouldn't be Silvio.
He hesitated.
That was a joke. You can laugh. Please laugh.
Silvio gave a little chuckle.
Oh, you would do just fine without a tongue. Probably wouldn't bother you a bit.
I doubt it would bother me as much as it does you.
Gerard stopped walking.
I just realized I left my fishing things on that island. We can't afford to lose them.
I've got them,
said Dakar. For some reason, Gerard thought they'd left her standing on the beach, but she'd come up behind them, very quietly. Gerard stared at her.
How did you?
She held out the fishing equipment.
Here.
And then walked on past them to the cabin. She was wearing Gerard's coat, and he saw that she had her own clothes over one arm.
She must have left them on the beach when she jumped in. Silvio, do you have any idea how she did that? There's no way she could swim all the way out there and back just now.
Silvio shook his head.
I don't know, Gerard. I don't know what she is. Only who.
She's got some things in common with Morcella.
She's got some abilities in common with Morcella, but she doesn't act anything like her. Morcella knows what sarcasm is, for instance.
Gerard laughed out loud.
Have you been talking to her?
Some. I didn't have anyone else to talk to.
You had me.
Can you imagine trying to carry on a conversation like this one by writing in the sand?
Gerard shrugged.
If we had paper or even sailcloth, it would be better. I still think you should work on those hand signs. Eventually, you'll want to talk to other Schultz.
Eventually.
Silvio made a face.
Eventually, Gwen's going to tie a rock around my neck and toss me overboard.
Gerard was shocked.
I didn't know you were worried about that.
Of course I'm worried about that. He'll kill me, Gerard. But if that's where you want to go, then I'm your foxling.
The way he said it made Gerard's chest constrict.
Silvio, you belong to yourself. You can go wherever you want. You don't have to stay with me.
Silvio didn't say anything.
Gwen won't kill you. He's not the grudge-holding type. I suppose there's a small chance he might refuse to sail with you, and if that happens, we'll do something else. But I really think he'll welcome you aboard.
You have been listening to The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton. Copyright Abigail Hilton. Cowry Catchers is an illustrated podcast. Artwork for this episode was created by Sarah Cloutier and Jason Cavella. To view these illustrations and to learn more about this world and its author, visit the website at www.cowrycatchers.com. This podcast included the vocal talents of
Nathan Lowell
as Gerard,
Norm Sherman,
as Silvio,
R.E. Chambliss,
as Dakar. Special thanks goes to Brian Lincoln, Charlie Blanchard, and Alex Thomaser for helping with the first pass audio editing for this book. Sound effects for this podcast were provided by SoundSnap, the Free Sound Project, and Sound Dogs. The intro music for this podcast was Grace by Beth Quist. The outro music is Everywhere, also by Beth Quist. Both were licensed with permission from Magnatune.net. Music for Book 3 of Cowry Catchers included selections from Digital Juice at digitaljuice.com and Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. It also included additional music from Beth Quist, Diana Rowan, and Jamie Saber, all from Magnatune.net. All music was licensed and used according to the terms of the websites. This is a standard copyright now. This podcast is provided for your personal enjoyment only. You can download and archive the episodes for your personal use. You may not re-upload, mirror, or publicly redistribute the audio files, nor can you alter, remix, or create derivative works. And I hope you enjoyed the story.
Sunlight sparkling in the forest, dancing, dancing on the alpine waters. Ride the moonbeam into the galaxy. Second star to the left and straight on and straight on and straight on till river when I find us gaze.
And I'm back. This is 2025 Abby coming to you with a few thoughts on the episode. So now Silvio's really back. Now Norm actually had lines again. Lightning Bolt Theater of the Mind. I had forgotten about those people. So the people who introduced this episode, it looks like that project is still going strong. I went and checked their feed. There's recent episodes there. So if you like Full Cast particularly, you should go check out their podcast. If you hear noises, that is Newt, my cat. He's been galloping around the
dining room where I am recording. He's got a fetch toy. He does play fetch. He's been bringing it to me repeatedly. I thought I wore him out. Oh, hello, buddy. Now he's in my lap. Anyway, he might make noise. He gallops like a horse. Let's see. For this episode, I remember having to search quite a bit for a fox howl. Because there's that moment when Silvio gives his howl of despair, and I remember searching quite a bit for a sound that wasn't quite a wolf howl, that didn't sound... that was recognizably a howl, but didn't sound quite like anything else. I remember I had to look for a while, and then I think I had to alter the sound slightly with the very primitive tools I had at that time available for altering such noises. But anyway, I was reasonably happy with the fox howl that I got in the end. Dakar has many secrets, obviously. We now know some of her secrets, but this is not all of her secrets. She has more. And again, I could say more things, but it would be really easy to give spoilers for this part of the story, so I'm just going to stop there. I hope you are enjoying it, and I will talk to you later.
This is Abigail Hilton, and you have been listening to the Pirates of Wefravain saga. Join me on Patreon for early episodes, long-form interviews, forum access, personal updates, and lots of artwork, including maps and species charts. That's patreon.com/Abigail Hilton. If you want the whole story now with no interruptions and some remastering of the early books for sound quality, you can find the entire series at shop.abigailhilton.com, along with all my other novels. The audiobooks are delivered by BookFunnel. Background music was Hidden Sky by Jamie Sieber, licensed from Magnatune.net circa 2014. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers podcast is an audio adaptation of the Pirates of Wefravain saga, written and produced by Abigail Hilton. Original production copyright 2010, all rights are reserved to the author.